This morning, our topic, what you should know about the building you want to buy into, as it were, before you sit down at the closing table. And this morning, we welcome back Associate Broker at Prudential Douglas Elliman, Darius Solomon, to share some important information with us. Darius, good to see you again.
Thanks.
What are some of the pitfalls people should know even before they get to this point, that they should find out about the building they're interested in?
Well, most of the attention lately has been prices, inventory. Yes. So we've sort of forgotten one of the most important questions is when you find a place is making sure financially how the building is.
Doing some homework.
Doing your homework and getting the right people to help you find out.
Okay. So now you say, before you do this, it is worthwhile to get a real estate attorney.
I really say...
Not just any attorney.
No, not any attorney. We all have brilliant friends, family that are lawyers. But most importantly, you want somebody who's experienced in that field. And especially with the complications that we run into with real estate and the speed of everything happening, you want to make sure they really know what's going on.
Yeah, they know that hidden language. They know those clauses. Now, one of the first things they should look for is assessments on the building. Explain that.
And again, this is all part of the financial health of the building. You want to make sure that whatever they have, whatever capital improvements, pointing, this is something you'll see often on buildings where they have to fix the front of the building.
Right.
You want to find out what has happened in the building over time, what's upcoming, and typically, that'll be researched through reading the board minutes and the financials of the building as well. You want to take these steps, of course, to find out how healthy the building is, what's going to happen in the near future.
And that gets into reserve fund as well. Explain that, too.
Reserve fund is very important. It's just like your savings account. In a building, the greater the reserve fund, the more likely the building is in solid financial health, and they've managed their money well over time. It also means that should some event come up where the building does need to do repairs, it might be local requirements, that they have funds to tap into, potentially without going to an assessment.
And one thing about that, Darius, I'll just point out from personal experiences, if the building's about 20 years old, it may be about time that it has to do some improvements, and so you'll want to see if they have the funds to
definitely that. And you'll want to, and that's part of your your attorney's responsibilities, to look over the building financials, check out its health, and also they can see basically from reading, let's say, board minutes, what the building is anticipating, at least in the near future, within reason.
Now, also, the building may have the ability to make money, to generate revenue. What does that mean, and why should you look into it?
It's a good thing to look at to find out if a building does, you might see a large pharmacy on the main floor of a building. Again, this is shouldn't make or break the deal for you, but it might be an area where the building brings in additional revenue, which means over time the building has a manner of keeping itself financially healthier than some others.
Okay, all right, great. And you do stress that it's rare for something to come up surprising at a closing, but it can happen.
It can happen, and I've run into scenarios where somebody did not use a real estate attorney, and I'm cautious in saying that there are great attorneys out there.
Absolutely, no, but it's an area of expertise.
They didn't bother to necessarily look completely through the board minutes. And at the last second, when we were at the closing table, they found out that there were some upcoming assessments and that there were some changes to be done to the building which would have inconvenienced my client. Now, one thing I say about assessments, if you do run into the scenario where maybe suddenly you found out there's a $50 assessment for 6 months, in the scope of things, if it's, let's say maybe $500 or $1,000 out of $1 million purchase, don't jump just yet. It might not be as bad as it sounds. So it's just a matter of really looking at the scenario and understanding what you're getting into for the long term.
Okay, all right, Darius Solomon, some good advice to consider when you find the right building. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For more information about the questions you should ask before buying an apartment, as well as professional example of what can go wrong, although it's rare, log on to our website, WNBC.com.